Good evening, everybody, and welcome to World Online Racing Legacy Division, where we have some incredible drivers on offer, where they all fight for a prize, but we get to commentate over it, and that is the true prize. I'm here, alongside me is Connor. We get to, Callum, I'm going to get this all wrong all night. Let's start again. Welcome along, Callum, to the Monza Legacy Division race. We had the honour of doing it on Monday night for WOR, and we had an incredible race. I think it's going to be a good one here tonight as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. And I am absolutely looking forward for this one tonight. A Temple of Speed has produced some great races in the past, and you only need to look as far back as Monday for living proof of that one. So it should be an interesting one tonight. A lot of these drivers have done it already, as I said, Monday, Tuesday, whatever tier they're in, they've done this track before, so we should be looking for some high quality racing tonight, and for the next hour and a half, it should be some good action as well.
So qualifying one is well and truly underway. We've got Quantum on the softs first, and some people have got the intermediates out just to throw a little bit of people, a few of you viewers out there to think it might rain. It doesn't look like it, so it looking lovely and bright. I think you said it's full dry throughout. Is that right?
Yes, that is.
There we go. That's all we really need to know. But Quantum is on a set of super softs anyway. And, I mean, looking from what we saw on Monday, we're going to use Monday as a little bit of an understanding point. I mean, Otis is going to take a little bit of stopping tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like every other night when you think about it, he's unbelievable. I don't think I'm saying anything outlandish when I say that. And I'm just going to quickly refer to the standings as well, just to kind of put them into perspective. In World in this tonight, he has won every single race so far this season, and only one time he's failed to get maximum points in the fastest lap. So he's had 26 points in four of the 5 races, and the one race he didn't get 26 points, he got 25 points at Abu Dhabi. So I think that just shows you in perspective how good he's really been. And likewise in WOR in Tier 1, and the different series he races in, he's always winning as well, and it has to take for something pretty mental or some really bad luck, like we've seen on Monday, for him to be stopped. So we need to see something pretty mental tonight for it not to be an FRA Elite win tonight.
We will obviously see how it all pans down. Quantum seems to be going quite slow through the second Lesmo there, so I'm guessing this lap time is not going to be anything setting the world alight. The low engine octaves there is making me think it's going to be a very, very slow lap, and a 1 minute 2 there already. So 1 minute 19 for Otis Lawrence to start the session off with. I'm trying to think what his qualifying time was on WOR on Monday, which I think was an 18.5, if my memory serves me correctly. But speaking of fastest laps, I just wanted to cover, Otis has got all but one fastest lap of the race this season. That other one goes to Scyther, who is, well, we've seen pretty good around this track as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Scyther's very good wherever he goes, and I probably say he's one of the closest challengers we've got to Otis Lawrence every week. I think he's always up there. Sometimes he's maybe not second, he's third or fourth, but yeah, Scyther's been really very impressive this year as a whole, and I'm looking forward to see what he's got tonight, as he should have to start his lap as well, so he'll be looking to set a very good lap getting through into qualifying too. And just for reference as well, you're pretty close with your guess. It was an 18.6 was pole position on Monday night, so it was really pretty. It was really quick. I think it was an 18.9 was in second. So some pretty quick times we've seen on Monday night, and I'd like to see the same again tonight. It'll be interesting to see the difference between now and Monday. It's full qualifying, so things are a little bit different. I wonder if that will be quicker or slower. I'm assuming time will tell.
Now, I think last time I was in the Legacy Division, I had Matthew in the FRA seat, but it's FRA Pisty today, so we'll see how he can do. And Quantum again he's invalidated this time. Last time was just I think just a setting up lap, but it hasn't worked out for him this time. So let's see what Scyther can do as he rounds the second Lesmo. We've still got 12 minutes 40 seconds of this first session to go, though. I think these guys are going to maybe play a little bit of a mind game around a few things. Obviously, they might be throwing in some not so strong laps just to put a few others off, because obviously the bottom 5 will drop out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always a possibility. It's a long time this for qualifying, and quite frankly, you've not got sets of tyres as well to be out every few minutes. So it's about biding your time and just kind of making sure when you're out on a lap you do it well. So it's a lot of pressure for these guys that might be near the bottom tonight. As Otis Lawrence retires already, he's not got any mind games. He's not feeling any pressure. A 19.2 will more than be enough for him to go through. We had Scyther as well, just setting a 19.4 as well, which should be pretty comfortable for him to progress through to qualifying too as well.
Yeah, that's some confidence from him, and quite often it is a confidence game with some of these for some of these drivers. You know, when they're riding a high, as we're seeing with Otis and we've seen with Tom Manley and Thomas Ronha in the past, those guys ride the high and they get themselves into nice strong positions, and you can see where they are now. And I can see Otis doing the same thing, but then we've had drivers who are equally as good, and I'm looking at Matthew right now, who's not on that high.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Matthew's an incredible driver. I think he's probably one of the best on Xbox. I'm going to be honest, just on that raw pace. But I think it's just there's a lot of mistakes that kind of creep into his race. I think the ones that stick out, I've got Abu Dhabi in World, where them had Monday night in Tier 1, where he just spins coming out the pit lane. And there's a few other ones as well that I just can't kind of name right now. But he does make quite a lot of frequent mistakes. And I think honestly he's not far off from being really good on Xbox. It's just he's making these kind of frequent mistakes. I was just looking at the standings as well to see where the other FRA drivers are in terms of the driver standings. We've got Elite, who's top by a long way on 137 points, and then the nearest FRA driver is ninth in the standings, and that's Piste, who's raced 3 races, and then Matthew as well, who's only done 2 races as well, and he's down in 14th in the standings. So from Matthew's standpoint, I think it'd be good for him to get kind of a bit of a balance on how he's racing and make sure he's not making these mistakes. And as well for FRA, it would do them a huge favour if they can have that constant second driver who can be out there racing every week and challenging at the front, because that's probably been the only flaw at FRA this season, is they've just not had that second driver constantly up there challenging for podiums and wins.
I mean, we look at it, and PSR are incredibly only 66 points behind FRA, and you'd think with the domination of one FRA driver, the other one would be there pulling along as well. So we'll see what Pisty can do tonight. But PSR, I'm looking at looking at them and trying to think what team they are, because I can't see oh no, there we go. PSR Nick, sorry, is in 4th place. My eyes deceive me. It'll be interesting to see how he can handle the pressure, because it's very, very tough going up against the likes of, and obviously Cyther's there as well, but going up against the likes of Cyther and Otis and other good drivers in this, because it's not just about those guys. It's not about I mean, we've not even spoken and touched on Leopard, who for Shazoo Racing is second. He's got the majority of their points, I think, this season. I'm looking at it, and I think eight points that he hasn't got for their total, and he's second in the championship. That says a whole deal about how good he is. But for the likes of these drivers who are coming in that are trying their best to compete, sometimes the pressure can be a little bit too much, which could be why a lot of the FRA drivers struggle, because they're up against such an accomplished driver.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm intrigued to see what PSR Nick can do tonight. You did highlight him. It's only his second appearance in World this season. His first one came out in Australia round 1 all those weeks ago. So, yeah, he's got a lot of pressure tonight, especially when you look at the drivers that PSR have. You've got Connor, you've got Boots, you've also got Scyther and Levi. So, considering that Nick's here tonight, he's obviously got some pace. And I think it'll be interesting to see how, as you can say, manage that pressure, manage that expectation, and see if he can try and get a good result for PSR tonight.
So let's see if we've got a driver on a massively quick lap time. Is Piccolo, is he on a lap time? Is he just starting? He's just starting. Lucas is just starting. I've just got on board with Finn, who has just finished his lap time, which is a 19.8. So that's not too bad for him. Axel just starting a lap time. Everyone just seems to be starting a lap time all of a sudden. Let's go back then on board with Lucas. I think maybe we'll see what he can do as his lap time could go. The Haas driver, or Novus Racing Team, I don't think he's had the best of... has he? I'm not sure he's had actually raced this season. which so it could be his first race.
Yeah, actually, I'm not too sure. I can't really see him in the standings, so there's a pretty good chance of that happening. But Novus Racing have actually been seriously impressive. They missed the first 2 rounds and then they came in, I think, replacing WOR, I'm pretty sure that is, or maybe it was not. I think it was maybe AMS, but they've actually been pretty good. They've scored points in 2 of the 3 races they've been in, and yeah, they've been pretty impressive. They're not going to be up there, they're not going to be challenging for those top 3 spots, but Joe, they'll be there every week, they'll be maybe scoring points, and I think that's pretty impressive considering they weren't in that top 10 teams to qualify all those months ago in Spain.
Yeah, and I think the team that replaced WOR was the BRT team, who aren't seem to be doing too bad at the moment. Lucas Boosts a 120.2. Got to do a little bit better on his next lap, but it could be down to mind games like I mentioned earlier. FRA Pisty then apparently setting the second, the fastest second lap, but I know there is a bug in the game that allows that to happen all the time. But it's let's see what he can do, because he's looking a bit far off the pace as he's coming towards the line, and it's going to be a 19.5, so it's not far off the pace at all. So putting himself into P3, I think that could very well be safe as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at Bob and Boy at the moment in the Aston Martin, he's racing for is it Euro Group Esports? False Group Esports, sorry, I should say. But he's backed off his lap time. He's in P10 at the moment. That's a tough one to see if he's going to be qualifying through a 1980 set at the moment, and with a lot of drivers still to improve, including LCR Leopard down in P20. I'll be interested to see if that Aston Martin can make it through or if he has to improve.
Yeah, he's got himself. Well, obviously Leopard and Amin, both drivers. I would expect to see in the top 10 of this. In Q3, I expect those two. Doesn't matter. I say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think, really. It's how it happens on track, because that's all it really does matter. But Leopard is just starting his lap time. He's had to go out again because of an invalidation, and I wonder if this is from... Yeah, he's put on a fresh set of boots, so this means he's... I don't want to say wasting tyres here, but he's had to do an extra set where Otis hasn't.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think as well, there's a bit of pressure on this lap now. As much as he's probably done all these races, he's so composed now these days, Leopard, and he probably doesn't feel an awful lot of pressure, but there is a bit of pressure on this lap still. There's a lot riding on it. If he makes a mistake here, if he doesn't validate, then it could possibly be qualifying over, which is well below par to where we normally expect to see a Leopard. But we'll just stick on board with the Red Bull coming through a Scary. Now this can be so tricky at the best of time, not when you're on a flying lap, but you've done it so good so far. And he's navigated the Scary pretty well. Just one last corner off parabolic amount to try and navigate, and the Red Bull should be pretty comfortably through to the top 15, which is enough to see him through into Q2. It's a quick drive up, he got a good lap so far. Been nice and clean, nothing too ambitious, nothing too crazy as you come out parabolic, and it's been nice and clean from the Red Bull. He comes across line, where can they put that car? It's P9 and 19.7, and I think that should just be enough for Leopard.
It was quite smooth for Ascari as well, and it's no danger of him running wide. It was exactly what I think he knows he needs to do to get himself into that next stage, and at the moment that's all these drivers down at the bottom need to do. Obviously FG Steve is got a qualifying ban, so he is going to be starting at the back of the grid for certain. PSR Nick then looking very, very quick, pushing the limits as much as he can. Pressure may not be getting to him at the moment. He looks like he could very well squeeze himself around the time of the top guys at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely a possibility. Just looking, VSR Finn invalidating another lap, so he's going to have to go for another one and see if he can try and improve himself into that top 10. It's PSR Nick there, you have it, 19.1. That's a very good lap from him. You called it there, and yeah, that's impressive stuff there from the Williams, and he'll be more than through into that next qualifying round.
So Amen has put himself into a good position. He's retiring. He's happy. I think PSR Nick would be very happy as well. VSR Finn, though, is this could get confusing. PSR Nick and VSR Finn. Somehow I'm going to get those two mixed up tonight. That Finn is having to go again. He is looking like he could be close to the drop, especially with the other drivers below, all on outlaps. At the moment, Piccolo has yet to come back out on lap. So he could, the Shizou driver could be in trouble because a 19.9 isn't safe.
No, you're right. It definitely isn't safe, and a lot riding on it. Just looking at VSR Finn at the moment, he's in a flying lap coming through. It's scary now, and let's see what he can do down P13. You mentioned it there. It's probably not going to be safe at that point 8. So yeah, a lot riding on this final corner. So let's just see now coming at the parabolic. 13th is at the moment. 15th is the cut off. He's about a 10th ahead of that cut-off zone. Some improvement is probably necessary here for what see him through. He leaves a lot of room on that far left. Maybe a slightly cautious here from VSR Finn, but it comes across the line now. What laps it for the Ferrari? And it's P3, a 19.3, and he'll be safely through into the next qualifying round.
Yeah, that's great time from him. Massively safe. Who could be on the McLaren driver? Maybe, I think. Or is Lucas just about to start a lap time? So the Aston Martin of Bourbon Boy, then he could be in with a great chance here of getting himself into Q2. He has to put a good lap time in. I don't know. All of a sudden, I don't know if Leopard's time of a 19.7 is quick enough. It could be in trouble, especially with all the drivers below him setting another lap. 1 minute 15 of the qualifying session remaining. Q1 is done, and Dustin Bourbon Boy puts himself P5. The times are getting quicker and quicker. Leopard has retired. Keva is not going to go quicker. Neither is Matiga. The two EOL drivers are out of this session. So they're out. 2 spots remaining. Piccolo is definitely on our lap time. Let's see. It's Quantum. Quantum then is going to cross the line first out of all these drivers. Is he going to make himself safe as he's getting round the last corner now? And the Alfa Romeo driver crosses the line. It's P13. He's still in trouble.
Yeah, definitely is. Piccolo out. Is he going to go for another lap? It looks like he possibly is. So he's not happy with the lap time. He's got one more lap to try and get himself out of that drop zone. NVR Lucas now as well coming through. It's scary. Oh, it's a bit hesitant through there. Definitely doesn't look the quickest way to do it. He needs to improve if he's going to be out, because at the moment he is out. We've got both the ERL drivers out of qualifying as well. That's a huge loss for both of them. But NVR Lucas, as he looks like he's backing off his lap, he's maybe just got time to go for one more coming around the parabolic, and now he's not going to improve in this lap, but he might just about make it through the line to do another lap. Let's see, 2 seconds left in the clock. He just about crosses the line now, so NVR Lucas, he's got that lifeline to try and set another lap.
That's mental. Neo then is in the Alpine as he comes down to the final corner. Now, this is going to be a very, very close time. I didn't see if he was up on his lap time. He needs to be if he wants to be safe. And across the line for Neo, it's up to P5, which gives more drivers a little bit of a headache. Piccolo then has invalidated his lap time, so he's out of qualifying. Carsey, can he improve? He's through Parabolica now. Can he get himself majorly safe from the drop zone? He's covering it as close as he can. It's P11. He's safe.
Yep, so Quantum isn't going to improve from his lap as well, either as Piccolo's. He's invalidated. He's NVR Lucas now. He's the final man in the qualifying session. LCR Leopard is just about safe by the skin of his teeth. So it's now ET8 Quantum. Can he make it through to the next session? And it all depends on this lap of NVR Lucas. Lucas P17 at 1 minute 20.2. So a big improvement needed here, about 5/6 on that current lap time if he wants to see himself into this next qualifying session. Coming through Parabolica now up to 5th, using all that exit there. He's pushing, he's giving absolutely everything as the harsh driver, and something is really needed here if he can go into the next qualifying session. He comes across the line, and the improvement is not enough. It's a 19.9, and he's taking P17.
That's unfortunate for Lucas, but it's a good improvement from him. So it might give him a little bit of confidence when it comes into the race. But obviously, like you mentioned, it was not enough. And it does mean Otis's, well, bold decision of retiring early has not been in vain. It would have been a surprise if he got beaten, but he is safe with only one driver, and that's PSR, claiming a time ahead of him. It's going to be interesting to see how much these times do tumble. Let's go down the 5 drivers. We lost our Steve because of his qualifying ban. Keva, the EOL driver, the other EOL driver of Mitiga. I'm probably murdering that name. NVR Lucas and Piccolo, who invalidated his final lap. And how much is that going to hurt Shazoo? We will wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we mentioned it earlier about Leopard, didn't we, about how many points he scored this year, and yeah, it's not great for Shazoo, is it? Shazoo aren't no slouches as a team. They've got high ambitions, and it's proven by a driver like LCR Leopard in their roster. You know, Leopard obviously sees something in them, but at the moment, that second driver just isn't delivering. I think it's actually last time out in Saudi Arabia 2 weeks ago, was the first time we've seen Shizu score two, like a double points finish. And yeah, that's not good enough for Shizu. And once again, to see Piccolo out tonight, that's a lot of big improvement to be made for that Shizu roster.
Now we will wait for some drivers to hit the circuit, but as things stand, I think you and I probably are in agreement that it's Otis is qualifying to lose. But obviously, with the likes of FRO Pisti, he's shown he's pretty quick. Scyther, we haven't seen the best of Leopard yet, and PSR Nick claiming that time at the end there. I mean, is there someone who could take his crown?
That's a tough question to ask, and I think on raw pace, I think it's a simple race. No, it's just never going to happen. But I think we've seen it before. To be fair, actually, I think Singapore did we not see him qualify third? Did we not? So he isn't invincible. Even in normal circumstances, there is a chance for other drivers to go and beat him. But it has to be a good lap. It has to be amazing from other people. I noticed to have a bad session, so. Yeah, he's been so dominant at the moment, and for the sake of entertainment, I would love to see him qualify P6 or P7, but yeah, I just don't see that happening anytime soon. I'm sure we'll see him. We'll go out in this session. He'll probably set a lap. It might be in the 18s if we're lucky, and that'll be him. He'll retire, and we won't see him again until Q3.
There. And it's not come through. But anyway, you've said all you can really with Otis. I think that's about as good as it can get. And yeah, let's see what Quantum can do. And really, I want to see what LCR Leopard can do. Because that wasn't the qualifying lap I know he can produce.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a time element to kind of just play it safe, get yourself through it in the next qualifying round. We kind of seen that on his lap. You mentioned it as well. He didn't really risk it much on that lap, so I don't think that lap time was representative of what Leopard can do. And yeah, it'll be good to see what he can try and set this lap. As we've got Quantum out at the moment, Quantum and who's the other one is it's Magician. So these two guys out early on, they're maybe not comfortable enough going out later on, so they're trying to get early laps in at the moment. And then yeah, it's a bit interesting to see what these two guys can do. Quantum just about making it through into qualifying too, so yeah, it'll be pretty ambitious if we see Alfa Romeo into the final qualifying rounds.
It'll be really interesting to see what YT Magician can do. I'll get that name right. I've commentated on him a few times in the past as well. But the BRT driver, I'm trying to think. I don't think he scored he has. He scored the points for the BRT team. He is quick. He's got it about him. He just needs to make sure he keeps it steady, because he is prone to mistakes. But I mean, I can see him being in Q3 here, and that would be a great achievement for the BRT team, but especially coming in late.
Yeah, exactly that. I think for the teams, if you get into Q3, it's halfway days, isn't it? I think around Monza as well, I think qualifying is actually really important, as much as it's all these straights, and you must think it must be really easy to overtake. It is a very good achievement if you can get in the top 10, because it really puts you in good stead for the race. So just looking at ETA, I'm now first one on the track and first one across line now. What lap time can he set? It's a 1 minute 20.3. I'm not too sure if that's an old tyres, but that's a pretty slow lap time for Quantum, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him improve that one by a pretty considerable margin.
Now that, yeah, that must be on old tyres, because 1:20.3 was slower than his lap time before. And that is very, very, I don't want to say poor from him, because if it is on older tyres, then that answers the questions massively. He might not be wanting to push straight away off the bat, but yeah, he probably would have wanted a banker lap better than that. And Monza is very, very keen for infringements on track, so some of those drivers might not get a second lap time.
Yeah, absolutely. His Magician there comes across line 19.2 from the McLaren, and I tell you, that's a pretty good lap time when you think about it. What was it, a 19.1 we've seen Nick set in the last lap, which was the quickest time. So yeah, maybe the track's just got that bit quicker, or that was a really good lap time from Magician there. So yeah, good stuff from the McLaren. That should set him in good stead. I'm not too sure if it'll be enough to see him through, but it's definitely a good foundation for his qualifying session, as we've now got virtually everyone out on track now, either on out laps or on in laps for a few of these guys. So yeah, the session will start to spice up a bit now, and we'll get to see the true pace of this track and drivers.
10 minutes off this qualifying session, Q2 remaining, and let's see, well, I want to say the man himself, Otis Lawrence, FRA Elite, is on track through the first sector now to set his second lap time of the day. Let's see what he can produce. This is going to be very, very an entertaining lap, because I think he can break into the 18s immediately here. It's just that he is that good. But you know what? I've got a sneaky feeling that VSR Finn might be holding something back. Him and Leopard definitely didn't show their full potential in that first qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to highlight another person as well. VSR Akos. He's very quick. He's at a 18.8 in Tier 2 on Tuesday. So he's a very quick driver as well, representing VSR. So he's in a little dark horse tonight. I'm interested to see how he gets on. But just looking at Otis Lawrence, at the moment, the main man, he comes across line. Is it in the 18s? And it is in the 18s. It's an 18.8 for the Mercedes. And that's a blistering lap time there to send him to the top of the standings.
That is a cracking lap time. I think that is either just setting a lap time. Leopard is out early to set a lap time. He hasn't invalidated this side. I don't think he's got a problem with Ascari. I think it's earlier on in the lap where he's got maybe an invalidation problem when he's pushing a little bit too hard to get a lap time in. But he's heading now down into the parabolic, the parabolica into turn 11 here at Monza. What can he do? We don't know his full pace. He wasn't here Monday night for WOR, and there might have been a little bit of a back-end struggle there, which could cost him a bit of time. It is a 19.6. That's not as quick as we expect from him. So let's go on to Scyther now, because he's the next man, I think, to really set us alive with some times. But he is running into traffic. We saw this on Monday night, drivers getting into traffic.
Yeah, it's not ideal for a driver at any time getting traffic, but Cypher, he's coped with it brilliantly coming out the parabolic, and now he's got that Ferrari in front of him. Definitely not ideal, but it's a short run at the line now anyway. He pulls over to the right, it's the shortest run to the line, and it's a 19.2 for the Williams, and that's good enough for P3 at the moment.
That is a not too bad a time, and I think 19.2s are going to be safe from any demotion just yet. There goes Passy into P5 with a 19.9, and here's Neo with a 20.2. Who else can be on a lap time? Is Pisti just starting, and is Akos just ahead of him? It is. So let's see VSR Akos in action. The Ferrari driver hops over the first Ferrante as he now comes into the Lesmo 1 and 2 bit of the track. And let's see. Well, he goes quite wide out the exit of Lesmo 1, which might cost him a little bit, but it looks like he's still going relatively strong for the Ferrari driver as he heads down towards Ascari.
Yep, I've got high hopes from here. I was digging him up 5 minutes ago, so Obi isn't likely down now at 52.7 as his sector 2 split as he comes to this guy chicane now. It's full commitment for the Ferrari, and it's been pretty impressive stuff so far for Akos. I've got high hopes from here tonight, as I mentioned, and do you know what? He's been pretty impressive on the few times that we have seen him in World so far. He races in Tier 2, but do you know what? He's got the Tier 1 pace every now and then, and I'm very excited to see him here tonight. Coming out the parabolic, and it's been a good lap for the Ferrari. Can we see it sneaking into the 18s? It's just not about not the 19.2, but that's still good enough for P2. Still a very solid lap there from the Ferrari.
Very solid lap time, only beaten just by Pisti there. Finn, a 19.4. Bourbon Boy, is he still on a lap time? He's invalidating, flying into the pit lane, and that is your first round of, I don't want to say pit stops, it's not pit stop, flying laps from these guys, and it looks relatively an interesting one. Amin, Nick and Bourbon, well, I won't class Bourbon Boy into that, but Amin and Nick I don't think actually went out for a lap, so they've stayed. Maybe to save a set of tyres?
I'm not too sure. Actually, Nick's coming out the pit lane now, so I'm not too sure what the strategy is. I don't know if there's something that I'm missing, but I'm sure these guys have got it well sussed out. They don't just turn up and then race. They've put practice in it, they put the hours in, so they've got a strategy for qualifying as well. So, yeah, these two guys just leading the pit lane now, actually. So I don't know if they go for a lap now, then pit enders can still make it out in time. I think that possibly could be the idea from these two, but yeah, I'm intrigued to see what Nick can do now as well, because we've seen that in qualifying one. He was really quick. Was it a 19.1 he set in Q1? So in Q2 now it's a bit more of a rubber track, a bit more of a green track, and yeah, let's see what Nick can do, because I think this could be possibly into the 18s.
I think Nick just likes a little bit of a clear track. That's when he set his fast lap. It was clear. It was more. There wasn't many people around to discourage him a little bit, and I think he's definitely got pace. He's definitely got enough to keep his teammate honest. And if they work together, they could cause FRA Elite some problems. But Pisty's up there as well. 3/10 of a second slower than his teammate at the moment. But we're expecting everyone to be about that size sort of time away from FRA Elite right now. But it's a very, very solid lap time for VSR Akos. I am impressed with that, considering he is tier 2 for WOR, and he's fighting along with the big boys here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can see that from tier 2, just in history of like WOR. I think even you look at even last game, we had people like Melanie in tier 2. We also had M Racer as well. Like how well he's doing in tier 1. You've got Harvey Cowan, I think, who was in Challengers and went to the Pro Exhibition. So it just shows you how good tier 2 can be sometimes. And I think Akos is once again breathing proof of that. We'll probably see him in tier 1 later on in the game cycle, and he's just shown here tonight how good his pace can be. Just looking at PSR Nick at the moment, he's in a good lap of 26.3 as his first sector split now, as he's heading to the first of the Lesmos.
Yeah, Lesmo 1 looking very solid for PSR Nick, and now into Lesmo 2. Very hugging the apex as best as possible. Nice little exit there from PSR Nick. I think now going into Ascari, it's looking like it's going to be a solid lap time. Will it beat his 19.1 from Q1? We will wait and see. But again, nice and smooth through Ascari, and that's exactly what he wants to be to match Otis and Pisty and Akos right now, and even Magician. Magician's got a great lap time in there. We've still got a few drivers not happy with the laps, so they're coming back out. Quantum being one of them. He's currently P10 with a 20.3. Don't think that's going to be safe, especially with this lap time from Nick, and across the line it's actually only a 19.6, so that's quite off the pace considering, and that might not be safe himself.
Nope, definitely won't be. But I'm in there. Wow, a 19.202. Really good lap time there from the Haas. Slightly out of nowhere there, considering I was really kind of backing Nick for a good lap time there. But Nick probably let himself down there slightly. Well off the pace, especially when you look at his lap he set in qualifying 1. So poor stuff there from Nick, unfortunately. As we've now got Carsey out on the lap as well. He's been out pretty early, and I'm looking to see if he can get himself through. I can't say I've seen him racing in World before. I think I've seen him in tier 2 once or twice at the start of the season. So he's definitely got the pace there. 26 flat in the first sector. That's pretty competitive, so this could be a good lap here from the McLaren driver.
Let's see what he can do. Into Lesmo 1 then. It's a little bit wide from into Lesmo 1 from that angle. Let's see how he handles it into 2. It's a lot tidier in through that. I was quite surprised really with Nick's time. I felt like that was going to be quite strong. It looked strong. Akos reckons his 19.2 is enough. However, some drivers behind don't. I think a 19.2 is safe. I'm pretty certain that's safe, but that's a nice exit of Ascari for Carsey. This is looking okay again, but I was wrong with Nick's lap time, so we'll have to wait and see. Into Parabolica for the McLaren driver. His teammate currently P5. What can he do in response as he comes across the line? Carsey is only P8, but it's a 19.4. It's a solid lap time from him.
Yeah, it's good enough at the moment, but I think there could be pretty borderline coming later on in this session. We've got a lot of drivers improving at the moment, and I'm interested to see if that one will be enough. Scyther's come into the pit lane. We won't see any more of him in this session. He retired just a 0.2, and I think that will probably be enough. As you say, we've got no drivers on a lap time at the moment, as I can see, but just about a minute and a bit to go, and I think there's still a lot to play for in terms of this top 10 spots.
See what Quantum can do. He needs to improve from his 20.3. It's not his best lap time. Nick has retired with a 19.6. That is very, very ballsy. If he's thinking he's going to be safe into Q3, but Quantum then across through Parabolica for the Alfa Romeo driver. Everyone else has come through all safe and fine, and across the line for Quantum, he's knocked PSR Nick into P11, and a 19.5 is strong for him for now. Magician, is he on a lap time? Is it going to be strong? And apparently I've moved off Magician, so that's a bit annoying. Magician's happy into the pits for him. VSR Finn, whereabouts are you on track? It's a little bit further back. There's a little bit of there is a massive gaggle of cars as they're coming around the final corner, and that could have cost Passy some time. And I think there was, well, the Mercedes and an Alfa Romeo that got in the way. He might not have been on a lap time though, which could be crucial for it. No, it was on a lap time, and I wonder if he got caught.
Yeah, it did look a bit messy for Passy there. Just looking VSR Finn at the moment in P7 in the Ferrari at 19.4, and that is the definition of borderline for him at the moment. So an improvement is probably necessary here. Coming out of Parabolica, the actually a pretty tidy lap for VSR Finn as he comes across the line now. Where can he put that Ferrari? And it's up into P4 at 19.2 to the name of Finn.
That's a great time from Finn. I knew he had a little bit more in his locker, and there he is, just ahead of his teammate. His teammate and himself very close in lap times. Here comes LCR Leopard as he hurtles down to the Parabolica. What can he do at this moment in time? He needs a stronger lap time than he's got. A 19.6, I don't think it's safe. Across the line, it is going to be quicker. A 19.5, it's not that much quicker, especially with Axel and Bourbon Boy to finish their lap times. Bourbon Boy hasn't set a lap time yet. He's up into P8, and Leopard is in trouble again. Where is Axel on track? He's the man. Either him or Passy. I don't think Passy's going to have a lap time in him. Carsey's gone P9 with a second lap. Axel in the Alfa Romeo. Can he go quicker? Can he get into the top 10 and cause a little bit of an upset with Leopard being outside of the top 10? He's not. The ET8 driver only managing a 19.6 and going P12.
Yeah, big let off for Leopard once again. And as much as we didn't see him on Monday night, I was hopeful for him tonight. But the pace in qualifying anyway isn't looking up to his normal standard. It's just about making it through into P10. It's good stuff there from Carsey and Bourbon Boy as well. I've not seen these guys race in World, so to make it top 10 on their debut is great stuff from the pair of them.
Great drive there from, like you mentioned, from the BRT team. Well, everyone who's made it into top 10, that's a very, very good lap time. Obviously, Otis doing what Otis does well, very well, and that's just setting a lap time and retiring. But we will wait for just confirmation of those drivers that have been knocked out of Q2, and that is Neo, Passy, the two Alpine drivers. The William of PSR, Nick, who just couldn't get that lap time together at the end, and then two Alfa Romeos, the ET8 drivers of Quantum and Axel, meaning that Leopard is safe. So 0.3 of a second between Otis and Amin is the gap with Pisty, Finn, Akos, Magician, Scyther, Bourbon Boy, Carsey and Leopard. Your top 10 drivers for the Q3 knockout, which is only moments away. And I usually ask a little bit later on in qualifying, but who's going to get pole position from this?
I'll go for Otis Lawrence. I think I would be stupid to say anything less. But do you know what? Nonetheless, I'm looking forward to see who can get that second spot. It's been pretty up in the air so far. Amin was very impressive. I didn't really see that one coming. I see him at ninth in the standings at the moment. To have a driver coming second in Q2, it definitely bodes well for the next 12 minutes for the Haas man.
Yeah, it's nice to see Bourbon Boy up there as well. Great little lap time from him. Let's get this all sorted and ready for you. Everyone is going to get themselves ready on track pretty soon. I'm certain of it. And it could very well be an Otis masterclass. We will have to wait and see on that, of course. But we will see. He's the first one out on lap. And just looking through the rest of it, I think, you know, if Magician hooks his lap up right, he could be one to stop this, because that was a very, very solid first lap time from him.
Yeah, it was actually. It was pretty impressive to see. So yeah, I think it would need to be something pretty impressive. I think the way the qualifying went so far, there's been no real evidence to think that we won't see Otis Lawrence on pole. But Joe, anything can happen. It's a bit different. Excuse me, a bit different in a session like this. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we can get any real challengers to Otis Lawrence. But I think if Otis can get a good first lap in, I don't think we'll see anyone really challenging for that pole position slot, unfortunately.
All it takes though is just a little bit of extra power down on a curb when not meant to, or a little bit too I want to say trigger happy, but foot happy on a curb or anywhere. Back end stepping out. Ascari is one of those where you go a little bit tight and you can invalidate massively. All it takes is that for Otis, and it could cost him massively. But it's very rare to see a mistake from this man.
Yeah, absolutely. Comes out parabolic now to start a lap, and we'll just stick on board for the Mercedes man because he can be pretty amazing to watch at points. Just to see how different he can drive that track from everyone else. He's just that level ahead at points. Coming into the pretty tricky turn 1 and turn 2, try to spot a braking point. You're on low wind as well, so it's very easy to snatch a braking lock up and miss that corner. But not for Otis Lawrence, who navigates that very well. Coming out there now, and it's out in the curve grand, it's flat out, but it's just a right hand kink where it's just minimal inputs, just to just set yourself up now for the very tricky turn 4 and 5. The curbs can be pretty brutal here, and Otis Lawrence needs to navigate this one nicely. It's a 0.9 first sector, third gear there, and then up to 4th. And do you know what, for a first sector and that turn 3 and 4, it's been a good lap so far from the Mercedes rival.
Into the first Lesmo, and like you mentioned, it has been nearly flawless from Otis Lawrence. It's been absolutely incredible. A little bit of a wobble out of the exit of Lesmo 2, but it's probably a minor blemish on his track record at the moment. Into Ascari then, turns 8, 9 and 10. Well, again, turn 8 there, the middle bit of Ascari, and it was a little bit of a wobble, but I don't think it's going to affect his lap time. It looks like it's going to continue with an 18.6, which is what he got on Monday night. Into Parabolica for Otis Lawrence, nice and tight, using as much as the track as possible, and across the line, it's an 18.699. Let's see if anyone can beat him.
Yeah, Scyther's always just an 18.9, but still a very respectable lap time. We've now got the McLaren's magician coming across the line now. Currently no lap time to his name. Let's see, can he get himself in the mix? Can he even put it on professional pole? It's a 19.1 from the first McLaren, another one on Castry comes across the line as well, and it's P4 from him. He's a little bit off the pace.
Yeah, a little bit off, unfortunate for him. I think Akos is just about to start a lap time, so let's see what VSR Finn can do. He's got Leopard behind him, and that's never anything you want, especially in the race, but in qualifying it's pretty much just as scary. Finn not as tight to the apexes as Ascari as he could have been, but down to Parabolica he comes, a Ferrari driver, and he knows he has to do something special here to get himself within the mix. He's probably got enough to get maybe top 3, but let's see how he can handle it. Across the line he goes, the Ferrari driver, not as he lifted off there massively. I think that was an old set of soft set.
Yeah, probably was by the looks of things, so yeah, it's a shame for him. They're just looking to see if we've got any other drivers on a lap, but at the moment it just doesn't look to be the case. You've got Bob and Boy starting a lap 10 there, so it'll be good to see what he can do. But it's VSR Akos, I think, is the main one at the moment, so we'll stick on board with the Ferrari. He's been very impressive in the 2 sections so far, so let's see what he can try and put that VSR car coming into the final sector now. 52.6 is the sector split. It comes through Ascari now, and it's full commitment. Now he's riding that curve, and it's slightly unsettling the car, and he's just about going off track there, but by the looks of it he has just about getting away with it there, so he's using every little bit of track and more so far for the Ferrari. Just one more corner of Parabolica now to navigate down at the 5th gear, up into 6th gear now on the short shift, using every bit of track he can get, and it's been pretty flawless so far from Akos. Let's see what lap time he can set here. Can he get in the front row of the grid? It's a 19.1, and it's only good enough for the second row. P4 for Akos.
It's not what he would have wanted at all. I think it's Leopard, the next guy, to make a lap time. That mistake at the exit of Ascari, I think it's cost him a little. Well, it's obviously cost him time, and I think he may have been able to get into P3 with that because he's not far off Magician. But here's Leopard, nice and smooth through Ascari. I've always found that his movements through corners have been so smooth, so impeccable is the best way to describe it. But Leopard then through Parabolica. Has he got the pace? He hasn't looked like it so far, but across the line, it's only a 19.6 again for him. He's just not got it fully at the moment. Here comes Bourbon Boy across the line. It's a 19.9 for him, with Pisty coming across the line to finish off the first rounds, and it's a 19.2 for him, which means Otis Lawrence is back out on track doing another lap.
Oh, that's interesting to see very early on in the session, and there's possibly 3 runs. And the final session is a short track, one of the shortest lap times as well. Round here, so possibly that could be the chance. If he gets a lap, gets back in, it could be possibly 3 runs in the session. So yeah, maybe that's what he's thinking. They're just looking further back. It's a shame for Bob and Boy there. Obviously not a good lap because 19.9 is well off what he set in qualifying too. maybe it was an old set of tyres, resurfing as well, point 0.6. And then Leopard has not really been showing great pace. I'm assuming that time is on an old set of tyres as well, though. So, yeah, take these times. I'll take some of these times with a pinch of salt, and with maybe these last runs now, I think we might get to see a bit more of a clear representation of where all the drivers are.
Definitely so, and it's interesting to see both those BRT guys. I might become a little bit of a BRT fanboy at the moment as the way things are going. They're currently P3 and 6, but it could be because they're in a McLaren. I'm not 100% sure on that. They are looking very, very strong in comparison to the field. But here's Otis Lawrence again setting, well, let's see if he can go into the 18.5s. Let's see if he's got it in him. He's looking quick. He is quick, but can he match, or can he go real quick and do something that I don't think we've seen in a long time, and that is smash records instead of just breaking them?
Yeah, Joe, it's always a possibility for him, and yeah, he's a great watch, isn't he? But he's sitting down on that first sector sign, half a second down, as he's coming through the first set of chicanes down into Lesmo, but it's a big mistake there. Big snap on the rear end there, maybe. I think that could be him backing off, but Joe, he's still going for it, and he is still committing through the first Lesmo now, and the second Lesmo was a slight mistake there on the last lap, and it's all pretty smooth sailing so far, so possibly maybe gaining a bit of time back there, coming in the back straight now. DRS open, and we'll get to see that sector split time on the top right of your screen now. Let's see what it is, and he's a 10.5 down as he comes through a scary.
Not ideal at all, and he's invalidated, so he's going to be coming back into the pits, I am sure. And I mean, that's the mistake I was talking about early. If someone else, if is a massive word, if someone else can beat that 18.6, then, you know, we might not see Otis on pole. It's not necessarily the best thing to be on pole here either, because you can get snapped up coming down into turn 1, into the first Ferrante. But we saw it on Monday that he didn't. Sider alongside him again could very well do something this time, cause a little bit of an issue. And that's something we hope to see, in a way, is a driver really attack Otis into turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, as much as you said it's not great to be in P1, here it's probably not good to be anywhere on the track. Going into this first chicane at Monza, especially in the game, it's kind of cold tyres, it's cold brakes, and you're maybe not used to it after maybe sitting out for a while if you've been doing, if you've been maybe knocked out in Q1, Q2. So yeah, it's a really tricky first set of corners. You know, you're coming down at some speed and then you're braking at a really slow speed as well. And everyone's using really low wings as well, 0-0, maybe 1-3. It's all very low wings. Basically the bare minimum you can run. So it just makes for unstable cars, and it can just really cause some chaos. And then if it's just about survive turn 1 and turn 2, going to curve the Grande after that, you then get turn 4 and 5, which once again the curbs can kill you on their own if you've not been killed by someone else by that point. So yeah, the first lap can be a real tricky one for some drivers, and yeah, pole position, as much as it's a good place, is definitely not guaranteed safety.
Now, Sider is the first man to blink. He's a braver man than me. I would not go out first here, but I also I don't think I would go out again in Q3. This is probably why I stick to the commentary side of things. But Sider, first man to decide what his fate is. Akos is behind him as well. Everyone else now starting to fan out of the pit lane and get themselves maybe mentally ready for the test that is ahead of them. Q3, the final laps are very, very, I don't want to say dangerous, but very testing on the mind, and you've just got to, you know, that lap is the only lap you've got.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the kind of interesting kind of aspect of qualifying 3 as well now, with this whole qualifying, is a lot of these guys, remember, have been out on old tyres, so the lap time they've set isn't representative. You look at Bob and Boy, you look at Finn, you look at Leopard, it's probably Carsley as well, all times that they can definitely be quicker than. So there's an element of risk as well, because they've not set a lap they know is good enough. You know, you look at Seidler, you look at Otis Lawrence, even Magician as well. These 3 guys have already set good lap times, so there's not as much risk going into this final lap. They know they've already got a good lap time behind them, but for a few of these guys, it can be really tough. As I'm just looking, coming out of Lesmo 1, there's a proper like trade of cars here. This is pretty bizarre to see.
It's like what was it, F1 2019, was it, when everyone was coming out and causing issues? It could be problematic here. I think that's LCR Leopard, who is just dropping off the back a little bit. Someone who has yet to set a lap time and is not going to be setting a lap time is Amin. Oh, and Sider's around. Sider is around at Ferrante too. He is not going to improve. He could be in trouble. let's go on board with Akos, but that is gutting. And I was talking about mistakes. I wasn't expecting Scyther to make one.
No, when he can't afford to make that either. 18.9 is going to be the best we see from him, and probably your main challenger for Otis Lawrence is probably just put it in a wall, unfortunately. VSR Akos, so he's in a good lap. Let's see what he can do now. Coming through the first Lesmo, it's all been nice and tidy so far from the Ferrari. Definitely a team that could possibly challenge for that front row. Lesmo 2 as well, nice and clean. DRS open on this back straight now, and he's now got the pretty infamous Ascari corner to try and navigate. What's that sector split time? He's 2/10 up in this time. That's very good. 0.9, possibly even a 0.8 if he can get this last sector now. Through Ascari now. The curbs are pretty brutal there, but he doesn't make a mistake. Just like his last lap, he's kept it nice and clean. Just one last corner of the Parabolica now to come for VSR Akos, and he does this well. I think we could possibly see that Ferrari on the front row. Scyther has retired from the session, as you would expect. So VSR Akos now, what can he do with this Ferrari? Can they get it on the front row? Can he even put it on pole maybe? Let's see. It comes across line now. It's a 19 flat, and it's a P3 for the Ferrari.
It's not ideal for him. It looked like it was going to be a much quicker lap time. Otis Lawrence is quicker than his lap time before. He's the next man to set a lap time. How much can he improve on his lap? It's currently an 18.699. Coming through Parabolica, the Mercedes man across the line. It's an 18.534. The man is incredible.
He absolutely is. Magician does improve, but doesn't improve his position. FRA beasting out, representing that FRA name, his teammate set that 18.5. Let's see what he can set now. 19.2 to his name at the moment. What can he improve to? Is it in the 18s? It is. It's an 18.8. A great lap there from Pisty, and that is a Mercedes 1-2.
What an end to qualifying. And FRA, well, I think Scyther will be kicking himself there, but Akos improving on that lap time, saved him from Magician jumping him. So look at that top 10 there. FRA Elite, FRA Pisty, Scyther, Akos, Magician, Leopard, Finn, Kasi, Bourbon Boy, and Amin. I was really interested to see what Amin could do. I thought he could be quicker than a fair few of those drivers, but he's in tier 1. He's in Q3, so that is probably what he expected on this occasion. But look at that, Otis Lawrence, an 18.534. What a lap time from him. And yeah, he is. I was wondering if he might break into an 18.4 just to give us a little bit more of a heart attack. But nice from him. Pisty in second, Scyther in third. That is your top three, and it's kind of what we expected really on the top of the grid there.
Yes, absolutely, and yeah, it's pretty comfortable for Otis Lawrence. There wasn't any real doubt, was there? That whole qualifying session, Q1, Q2, Q3, was all controlled, and yeah, just another day at the office for the FRA driver. But just to mention though, for the race, as much as 3/10 is quite a big gap, I think these first few laps are crucial for these guys that are wanting to come up against Otis Lawrence, because if you can stay within that 1 second gap, come lap 3, come DRS being enabled, I think you could be in for a real shout. This is one of the easiest tracks to stay within DRS of another driver, and if Pisty or Scyther can do that within those first 3 laps, I think it could possibly give them a chance, or even a sniff of a race win today.
Now, what could have been a problem for Otis into turn 1 was the fact that Scyther was there. Now he's got his FRA teammate. There's I don't want to say a defense mechanism, but FRA can kind of hold that, box each other in. I don't want to say box each other in, but box it in a little bit. But interesting to see if we could go 3 wide into turn 1. That's going to be an interesting one in itself, in my opinion. But I want to talk about some of the guys that are at the bottom of the grid. Let's say about Steve down in last place. Obviously, qualifying ban. I mean, it would be a little bit of a hard ask to ask for last to first challenge, but I mean, he could. I mean, play his strategy right, and he could get himself some points tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you've kind of got a bit of a nice feeling at the back, knowing that he's got nothing to lose. Literally, he's starting at the back, so he can be a bit more ambitious. He can be a bit more crazy. We've kind of seen it on Monday night with the rain. As much as it's going to be dry tonight, things like that. Maybe if there's a safety car come out, he can stay out if everyone pits, or he pits if everyone stays out. He can be a bit different, and I think that can always kind of work in your favour. He just needs to avoid the lap 1 chaos, because it's very easy to get caught up but being at the back of the grid, he can afford to maybe just take a step back and at turn one, let the chaos unfold, and then possibly emerge in a pretty healthy position at the end of it.
So we're just waiting for the drivers to get themselves set the strategy, set whatever they want to set, ready and done and dusted. Something we have yet to actually have a look at this race. I know you've touched on it, but it's the standings for this season so far. FRA on 100. Oh no, I think that's the wrong standings even, which is slightly annoying. It might be the right ones. No, it's not. It's the wrong ones. Ignore those standings because somehow I have downloaded the wrong ones. But FRA leading the way by 62 points, 166 points they've got, 104 for PSR, and then the Alfa Romeo, the Velox Esports team, on 59. They are not third. It's Team Zizou that are third with 62. So the spreadsheet might be a little bit broken on the one I'm looking at. But anyway, and then, that most of those points that we've mentioned before is LCR Leopard. I mean, Zizou Piccolo really needs to pull his finger out tonight.
Yeah, he does. It's been an interesting one for Shizou because I think it's just been used to that it's raced every week, so there doesn't seem to be any other driver there, a driver to step in. It just looked to be the two of them. Piccolo was a good driver. I think he's in tier 2 this year, if I'm right in saying, and he is always kind of up there. So the quality's there, but he really needs to try and maybe if it's practice more or just find a bit more pace because, if Shizou are looking to try and get in these top 3 spots, which they've got the drivers to do so, then they need 2 drivers scoring points every weekend. Piccolo's just not been it this season, unfortunately. And for Shizou, it's been unfortunate. You've got Leopard, as you said, he's out front. He's second in the stands. He's been so impressive all season. But the only thing letting him down has just been that second driver, unfortunately.
And if FRA didn't have Elite, maybe they would be in a similar situation because, he's got 137 points of their 166 total. Yeah, that's just that in itself is incredible. But if Elite wasn't there, who knows who would be leading this championship right now? I don't think it would automatically go to Leopard. He's had some great results, but it might not be straight to him. Taking away a driver and all the points. Brain don't want to do maths at this time of night. But LCR Leopard is been good. Scyther, he's had some great strong races and so is Levi. I think I remember rightly at Saudi. I can't remember, but Singapore. He was very, very strong there.
Yeah, he absolutely was. And it's a good point about I quite liked if Otis Lawrence wasn't in FRA, would it be a different story? And I think I never looked at them, but looking at the TPS standings would be a good one because that is a team kind of championship with a pretty similar quality of grid. Compared to this tonight, but there's no Otis Lawrence in it. He doesn't race for FRA. I think FRA Matthew and maybe like a few others. I'm not too sure who races for FRA. Maybe Peace Matthew. Those type of caliber drivers are racing in TPS on a Thursday night. So it's a good point to kind of see, and it probably highlights even more that second driver issue at FRA. They found in WOR. They've just not been firming up the standards. But then if you look at the standings of 66 points clear, which it could be more, but it's still a pretty healthy advantage, and I'm sure there's probably not too many complaints coming out of that FRA camp.
Now, something obviously we've still got the race to go here, and it's going to be phenomenal. I am certain of it. However, Silverstone, round 7, that, I mean, one historic track from Monza going to another, which is Silverstone. That in itself could be an absolute incredible, a banger of a race. I don't want to. I don't want you guys to miss it, but we've had so many incredible, unexpected drives at Silverstone that it could be another one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the home of motorsport, isn't it? And it's always a pretty good one. I never actually got to see the Tier 1 race in WR around Silverstone, but I'm pretty sure if I'm right in saying Otis Lawrence didn't win. So it must have been a good race. So I'm looking forward to that one next week. I just looked at the calendar as well. You've got Austria as well, then Imola, then Spa, then USA. I'm not too sure what USA track that is. Actually, I'm not sure if it's Miami or if it's Kota, but nonetheless, this calendar looks very good. And over the next few weeks, it'll be very interesting to see. And yeah, just looking at the calendar as well, I can't believe we're not even halfway through this season yet. It feels like we've been doing this for so long, and the season's just kind of get started. So it shows us it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So it's pretty interesting to see how this season will play out. And yeah, it's a pretty interesting dynamic to see that we're only 5 races into the season.
I'm just reading up to see what is going on with why it's taking that little bit longer to ready up. I'm guessing people are just sorting out their final bits of interesting strategy. Who knows? Someone might be going a soft, medium strategy. We never know. I wouldn't recommend it. However, it could be. Let's see how. I mean, I'm just. I don't want to say I'm lost for words right now, but it is difficult to fill gap right now. But is it anything other than an FRA Elite win tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's no disrespect to it Lawrence, but I kind of actively kind of celebrate against him. I'm kind of like wanting everyone else to do well because he's just been so good, hasn't he? And it's pretty impressive to see. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. You have good drivers, you had Shadow or Tom Manley, you have Ron Ha, and you've all got all these very good drivers. But Otis Lawrence has just been so good. And yeah, I think anything that isn't an Otis Lawrence win, it means it's probably been a pretty good race.
The final countdown has begun. 15 seconds until lights out. Don't forget, no formation lap, so we are racing straight away when we get onto the grid. Otis Lawrence there. You can see Pisty and Otis Lawrence, the Mercedes team, right at the start. See what they can produce. And see if it'll be a 1-2 at the end of the race. But we are on 3, 4, 5 red lights here at Monza. And we're racing. Let's see how it all goes down into turn 1. At the moment, it's looking like that is Scyther trying to take the lead. He has done. He's got past Otis Lawrence. Otis is down to 3rd place. And all of a sudden, Scyther, he didn't want to be 2nd row of the grid. FRA Pisty and Lawrence fighting away. In the background, we've got Magician and Akos fighting away. We've got Neo dropping like a stone, I think it is. Oh, sorry, no, it's Carsey that's dropping like a stone. 3-second time penalty for Leo. But Scyther is in the lead on lap 1.
Yeah, what a start that is from Scyther, and super impressive. They're on the grass as well, trying to get up into P1, so yeah, great start there from Scyther, and it bodes very well for his race.
And we've got battling behind Leopard and Magician fighting away. Leopard up into P5. He doesn't want to let the leaders get away. Akos is 9/10 of a second in front, so that is going to be problematic. Finn has stayed where he is. Quantum up 2 places, 3 places gain for Piccolo and Lucas as well. This has been a great start, an unexpected one, because Scyther is leading. We weren't expecting him to, well, he, like you mentioned, across onto the grass. He wants to make a name for himself.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you need to see from a driver. If you want to be Otis Lawrence, you have to be bold. It's as simple as that, and that's exactly what he was there going into turn 1. And Otis Lawrence had a really poor start at the start, and I think if that wasn't FRA, he stays his teammate. I think he's probably in P3 at the moment, but just looking, he's pretty close in the back of Scyther at the moment. Coming into turn 1, he goes, is he going to make a move? And yes, Scyther not putting up much of a defence here, as the Mercedes goes down the inside and up into the lead of this race.
Back into the lead, and I think that's Leopard trying to nick P4 away as well. And there goes Finn. He's not had the best, I don't even know where he is on track, but he is off, and that is gutting for the Ferrari driver, now down to 18th place. And FGE Steve then up a position. He's fighting away quite strong. A bold prediction for myself to him to get points, but I think he's capable of. Let's look at Bourbon's boys' point of view. Amin is up 2 places, and it's looking strong. I tell you what, let's have a look at the tyres. Everyone is on a hard, so we will go back to this one. But Scyther, what a first lap, but it was only a matter of time before Otis decided to go straight back on the attack. Leopard then glued to the back end of that Ferrari.
Yep, Quantum as well, down in P7, had a very good start, so very impressive stuff from him. But yeah, Leopard, kind of extremely seen races as him pushing quite a lot. And that ERS at very low, 34% to the name. And sorry to touch again, but just looking at up front as well. Otis Lawrence, look at that gap. 9/10 of a second. This time last lap he was in P2, and now he's nearly got that second gap. A 21.9. Otis Lawrence set a 23.1 in the name of Scyther. So Otis Lawrence at the moment, that pace is looking incredible.
He is wanting to punish Scyther for getting him off the line. That is a very, very strong lap time. Bourbon Boy and Axel getting close in the background. It's good racing there. Piccolo and Lucas up 4 places because of Finn's misdemeanor last lap, but he seems to get himself sorted. Finn's into 17th place there. And let's go back actually for the battle for P9 because it's very, very close. And I think Axel's going to try and have a look up the inside, but it's not going to be on that occasion. And PSR Nick then P11. Still got a lot of work to do for him. But Otis Lawrence has broken that DRS before the DRS has started. But Pisty might break it from Akos behind, which could cause some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Could have Scyther well and truly out of DRS now. So big fuel ups there from Otis Lawrence. Down in P3 into turn 1, up into P2, and then P1 a lap later by breaking the DRS as well. So very impressive stuff for him there. Just looking at P9 at the moment, Bourbon Boy under a bit of pressure from now from here of E38 Axel. He's Axel all over the back of Bourbon Boy at the moment. Bourbon Boy maybe not get that pace to stick with this front top 8 group. So yeah, he could find himself under a little bit of pressure now as he come out the final corner. PSR Nick all over the back of him as well, and that's how Piccolo gets stuck in as well for Shizu. He's had a good start up into P12 and he's trying to make that P11 as well now as he's on the back of the Williams on the back of the Alfa Romeo. The Williams needs to go down the inside of Axel, and it's Piccolo going to try and make it from 3 wide. He might just try and do it as well. Going in, it's all when they go. The Alfa Romeo breaks pretty late. The Williams as well try to hang on in there. Piccolo as well is trying to stick a nose in there, but just at the moment Axel, he's hanging on for dear life. PSR Nick all over the back of him as they come through Curva Grande now. What can he do? Can he try and move into the inside? But he's just not got that straight line speed, and I don't think there's going to be too much action happening as it is ETA Axel staying in that P10 spot.
From attacking Bourbon Boy to nearly losing a position, Axel's having a time of his life right now, or maybe not the time of his life, but he has lost the position now to Nick into Lesmo 1, and what a move that was for the PSR driver. Into the points now, and he's got Bourbon Boy on his sights. Amin dropped out of the second of Quantum ahead. Quantum up 4 places into P7. That's a great start from him. He's attacking Magician ahead. Leopard outside of the DRS of Akos ahead as well. But Scyther setting the fastest lap of the race to try and get back at Otis. And Otis has broken that DRS that DRS time zone yet again. And this is, well, I tell you what, Otis masterclass right now. We've got to wait and see how the battle produces. But everyone else pretty much still within each other.
Yes, absolutely. Just looking at P2 at the moment, Scyther coming under pressure from the next FRA guy. And there you have it. It's a pretty convincing move there. And with pretty no defence there, it is P3 up into P2.
Yeah, and Magician getting past Leopard as well. I was just going to... Yeah, let's see how... It's all really close in this battle for P9. I'm so engrossed in it because I want to see action here that we missed Leopard getting through Quantum, getting through... being passed by Magician, sorry, and Quantum now having a go. Steve's retired from the race. There's been an incident. Is this... Yeah, safety car. We have a safety car here in lap 5 of Monza.
Yeah, it feels like a competition caution almost. It's just allowing everyone to get back in to the mix of things and yeah, just keep everyone with each other now because it looked like Otis Lawrence was kind of running away with that one now. So yeah, just keep everyone nicely together. Unfortunately, your prediction now for Steve to get points is well and truly out of the window as well. But yeah, it was good to see now. I don't think we'll see any drivers come into the pit lane. Maybe there's a few bold calls out there, but for the most part, I would imagine everyone stays out.
So Kevlar is on a set of mediums, and I wonder if anyone will go on to a set and then pit again. I wonder if anyone go back onto the set of hards just to throw a bit of confusion to some of these people. I'm not going to say it's... I'm just trying to think who might do a weird strategy like that. There's a few people pretending to go into the pits, but nothing happening. I think this might end up... Some of these drivers might push on to a set of softs towards the end of the race. They have that option now instead of going to mediums.
Yeah, I think so. It kind of gives them that longevity, doesn't it? An extra few laps so they're not pushing at full speed. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how that one plays out. I'm surprised we didn't see anyone pit for mediums and then do like medium soft or something like that. I kind of thought that would possibly be a strategy call, but no, it looks pretty loud scale on the same strategy. Kiva as well, P19, he's came into the pit lane and he's fitted the hard tyres, and interestingly enough, that's his second compound in the race, meaning he can go to the end. So yeah, the rail driver, he might be down in P19, but certainly on a good strategy call here to get some good points if he can keep it out of the wall and keep it penalty free.
So, back as we were at the start of the race, well, before the start of the race, Otis, Pisty and Scyther was that way around. Has Lucas just binned it under safety car conditions? He has done. He's spun at the second Lesmo. The Haas driver, is there damage? I don't think there's damage to that front wing. But that is an unfortunate rookie mistake for Lucas.
Yeah, it's a strange one, that, isn't it? Under safety car, you don't... Yeah, it's just not ideal, is it? So, tough stuff there from the Haas driver. A lot of work to do down in P18. I'm not too sure where he actually was, but I'm not too sure how many positions he'd lost. But nonetheless, not ideal to spin under safety car. Doesn't do any good. That. Oh, just looking at front now, will we possibly see Pisty go for any sort of attack here? Or do you think he might just play the team game behind Otis Lawrence? Because I kind of thought we'd seen him come out of turn 1 and 2 in the first lap. Pisty was pretty subdued when he seen Otis Lawrence. He was just happy to just let Lawrence go. So yeah, I think it may be pretty minimal attacks here from Pisty. But on the other hand, will we try and see Scyther go for it? Once again, just like we've seen in the start, this is his chance to try and get back at these F3 guys. And yes, there's no better chance to do it than on a safety car restart.
I think he'll want to. I think Pisty's just happy, content to stay behind Otis, and hope that they will be able to pull away from Scyther. Scyther showed some good pace, but it's sporadic pace. It's not always happening. So I'm guessing he's using ERS and then having to stave. But it'll be interesting to see what Akos can do to attack. Leopard obviously started well. Let's have a look at how it all has panned down with drivers swapping positions, etc. And that's Quantum up 4 places, Piccolo up 4 places. That is some great moves from them. PSR Nick up 3. Everything else, unfortunately, for Lucas, he was quite high up. I think he was 13th. And yeah, it's just not gone well for him. And Finn down 11 places. That is a little bit heartbreaking for him because he was looking good. But we have got soft runner of Finn and a medium runner of Lucas now.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how these guys do. I'm going to try and get Bob and Boy into the race. I never realised that he's lagged out. That's unfortunate stuff for him. He's running well. Bob and Boy in P9 at the moment. I think it's his debut, and wow, there's a safety car is in this lap. So try and get Bob and Boy in quickly before this safety car goes away.
Let's see what happens. I think Finn just wants to cause a little bit of issues behind, but how does Otis Lawrence restart this race? He's desperate to heat up those hard compound tyres, and that is a problem. Once these hards get cold, it's very, very difficult, and it's the longevity of getting them hot again that makes it difficult for it. But let's look at it from Pisty's point of view and see when Otis Lawrence decides to bolt out of Parabolica. He's holding, he's still holding. This is going to be a late go from Otis Lawrence, and Pisty's looking quite aggressive and wants to attack. There we go, we're underway, and look at that, there's a whole gaggle of cars, everyone side by side in the background. Scyther's past Pisty, but the slipstream is going to help him, and Scyther surely not going to make a move into turn 1. Has he clipped Otis Lawrence? There is a little bit of a clipping there, but I don't think it's cost him much. Magician getting past Akos as well. It's still carnage in the background as Leopard fighting away with Quantum. And can Magician do anything on Scyther into turn 4 there? But he's not going to get the better of him. And Leopard attacking Akos, but it's side by side stuff. But it's all done and dusted at the moment. But here comes Quantum into the first Lesmo, and Leopard down to P7.
Yeah, unfortunate stuff there from Leopard, but Quantum, he lined that move up beautifully there, and definitely paid the prices there. Up into P6, a good stuff there from him. VSR Finn, what a restart he's had, up into P12 on the soft compound tyre, mind you, but you know what, still very, very impressive stuff. Just looking further up the road as well, Amini and Nick on that into a sky chicane. You don't normally see side-by-side action through there, and rightfully Nick backing off there, but you know, a good run out of Ascari here, and he could possibly be putting this Haas under pressure, coming into Parabolica, the Haas, defence to the inside here, but Joe, Nick's having none of it, down the inside, he's going to go into the final corner, and this should be a pretty convincing move, and there you have it, he's got the move done up into P8.
That is a cracking bit of overtaking, and you know what, has VSR Finn put an absolute cat among the pigeons with all this by going on to the set of softs and getting himself back into the race, and he could very well go on to set of mediums and be back where he was initially. There's still a gaggle of cars. Finn up into P10. This is mental stuff going on in the background as well. Lucas getting himself through the field a little bit. There is a lot of action behind these guys, and Finn up into P9. He is flying.
Joe, this is a very good call from Finn here because he doesn't have to take these softs too much longer than planned. And I think, 17, 18? 17, 18, we'll see these guys on the hards coming at the pit lane for mediums. So, yeah, good call here from Finn. And so far, it is paying off very nicely.
Otis Lawrence hasn't pulled away as strongly as he had done last time once he finally got past Sider. Sider back down to P3 with his battle with Pisty, and at the beginning of that race, that was restart of that race, it was mental. Magician tried to get through as well, but he's slowly losing ground. Leopard down to P7 at 3 seconds. Oh, penalty, and there's someone off, and that is Axel. Could we see another safety car out of all that? He has lost it at the end of Ascari, and it has done. Lap 9, we see a second safety car, and I wonder if any of these drivers decide to go a little bit bold like Finn had done.
Yeah, shame there from Axel to retire from this race, but let's see if they have any pit lane. And we have a lot of action on the pit lane here. I think first one, this is LCR Leopard. Jason is, he's the main one to come in at the pit lane here. What's he going to fit? It's a set of the medium compound tyres, 17 laps on medium compound tyres. That seems pretty ambitious to me.
Pretty ambitious indeed, and it looks like Piccolo's come in as well, another medium. But if there's another safety car, considering we've had 2, it could be the right call.
Sure, it definitely could be. I think we've seen a prime example with VSR Finn, who's now pitted. He's up at P13 now. What was that? It was nearly last before he pitted for those. Well, it was last when he pitted for those soft tyres. So he's reaped the benefits of them there. And yeah, as you said, it's so easy to trigger safety cars on these games. It's a retirement, and that's probably enough to do it. So and then with the nature of Monza, how aggressive it can be, how much you have to push. So one mistake, you're in the wall. So I think it's a good call from some of these guys. Now, as you kind of like to say, it's a cat amongst the pigeons. Some of these guys on the mediums strategies are completely split on this grid. Now we've got a lot of the guys stayed out on the hard tyres, but you know what? These guys have opted for the new fresh mediums.
It'll be interesting to see how their pace progresses through this. We saw how quickly Finn was able to dispatch people on those soft. Obviously, the hards are a little bit different. And let's see, has Otis Lawrence decided to stay one lap longer for those hard compound tyres? Everyone else now pitting. Well, it appears that everyone else will now pit. So this is going to be an interesting strategy. But we're going to have 2 drivers that have yet to lead the race this season. This race, sorry. And that's PSR Nick and Lucas up into first and second place. Kevva into P3 as well. Otis Lawrence, is he going to get caught out by the people? He's nowhere near going to get caught out by the people who have pit. And some of these drivers might lose places because they pitted early. But PSR Nick leads the way. How much of a roadblock can he be?
Do you know what? I think this could be very interesting now as well. I'm just looking P8 all the way down in P9 now. That getting double stacked has really hampered his race now. And maybe that's why we've seen PSR Nick stay out, because he knew that double stacking would have been dangerous in P8. He's a prime example. What was that, P2 he was in? Or P3 he was in? No, P2 he was, wasn't he? And yeah, I think himself now down in P9 now because of double stacking. That's a pretty tough lesson to take. So yeah, to go back to your original question, PSR Nick, this could be pretty good from him. He's got his teammate Scyther right behind Otis Lawrence, so he could possibly do his teammate a favour here by maybe being a bit awkward, being a bit tough to block, and yeah, could definitely be interesting to watch and see if these Williams guys could possibly pull off a masterclass.
It'd be very, very frustrating for Otis Lawrence, but we've seen many a time before he has been able to carve his way through the field. But a lap 11 of 27 here at Monza, and 2 safety cars for unfortunate incidents for Steve, F1 and Axel. So a very, very frustrating night for them. And Axel looked like he was in for a really good race, which is a massive shame for him.
Yeah, it is. It just kind of shows you how tough this track can be. One mistake and you're on the wall. I think the Lesmos can be pretty tough for it as well. And yeah, it is a pretty tough track for these guys. Ascari as well, as we've seen from Axel, and I'm not too sure if Steve retired actually, but yeah, all of the track can be really hard for these guys, and well as that, we're just about halfway through the race. They're just approaching that halfway point, so it shows you there's still quite a long way to go. It's one of the shortest races of the year. I think it is the shortest race of the calendar. So yeah, it just shows you as much as it might be a short race, that there's definitely still a lot that can go wrong. And one of the main things that can go wrong for Otis Lawrence at the moment is the 3 guys in front of him. These can be a real nuisance here and a real roadblock and stopping him from running away with this race.
So Scyther up into, was that net P2 with Magician net P3. That would be a great result for the BRT team if that stays that way. But you know what? After a relatively poor qualifying for Quantum, he's got himself into a massively great position where he is. Saying he's only up 4 places, but really he's up 7 from where he started. He's had an incredible race so far.
Yeah, he has actually. It's very impressive. It's not easy around here. I think I've said it a few times already tonight, but it's not easy around here to gain any positions. To be up 7 is pretty good. So yeah, if you're down as well, it's not a tough one. If you've lost a few positions at the start, it's not going to be good either for these guys. But for Kiva, for Lucas, for Nick, this is a real good opportunity. These guys all started near the end of the grid, so possibly another safety car or another bit of chaos, this could possibly fall right into their hands as the safety car is in this lap.
Let's see what these front 3 can do. Nick, Lucas and Keva, who are yet to, well, I say yet to pit. Keva has pitted, so he technically is going to the end. Magician has a 5-second penalty for a collision with Scyther. This is a little bit close for comfort. These guys trying to heat up their tyres. When does PSR Nick go? Has he gone already? He has decided to go well early, and it's left Keva in a lot of trouble with Otis Lawrence sniffing all around the back of his diffuser, and so is Scyther. This could be very, very entertaining as they come down the start-finish straight. Into the pits goes someone. That could be Magician. I think he's got front wing damage, but look at that. Otis Lawrence already passed the ERL driver. Can Scyther do it? He's going to go up the inside. He's dived it up. That is a very, very well-placed position from Scyther to make sure he's there and keep up with Otis Lawrence.
Yeah, that was a crucial stuff there from Scyther. It had to be bold, but Joe, he got the job done, and then a great move to try and keep him in touching distance of Otis Lawrence. It's not an easy job to do, but it definitely makes it easier to get those moves done. But a bit of a mistake here coming through that chicane, and that gap is already widening up. However, Otis Lawrence, he's coming through the Lesmos, he's feeling that effects of being the faster cat, and he just can't get by these 2 in front. And this is now the chance for Scyther to try and close up to the back of this Mercedes.
He's got to hope that PSR Nick does a wonderful job of holding up as they come down and head towards Ascari. There is a lot of things going on right now, but Lucas is looking relatively quick, but he's clipped too much curve on the exit of Ascari, and there goes Otis Lawrence down the outside. And is this going to cause problems at Parabolica? Because they're side by side. Lucas is going to keep his car up the inside there. He's going to battle the championship leader of all this, and he's going to keep in front for the time being. Otis Lawrence has had to concede back the position, and he is the fastest man on track, but he's now gone to the inside of the Haas driver as they hurtle down to Varante 1. There's no overtaking happening. Otis is struggling to get through side by side, Haas and Williams, and Lucas finally gets the lead of this race, and there's contact there between Nick and Otis Lawrence, and this is just going all off, and Scyther is back in with this battle.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great chance for Scyther to try and get stuck in. PSR Nick, he's all over the back of the Haas at the moment, but he does concede for the time being. But Scyther, he's just not too close at the moment. This is a big mistake there from the Haas, and that's going to allow PSR Nick up into the lead of this race. But through comes Otis Lawrence as well. He's trying to take a chance while he can down the inside of the Haas into Lesmo 1, and it's still going to continue into Lesmo 2. They go. It's a great move there from Otis Lawrence, and now he'll be trying to pick off this Williams for the lead of this race.
Yeah, opportunistic there from the Mercedes driver, and there goes Scyther. He's gone through as well. Lucas really struggling a little bit with that. The Williams driver, oh my goodness, this is a Williams sandwich. I thought Scyther was going to clip the back end of the Mercedes ahead of him. Nick then doing all he can to hold up Otis Lawrence as they come down to Parabolica. I don't know if Scyther's got to have enough in him. Is Otis going to make a move? He thinks better of it, but let's look at it from Scyther's point of view. And look at the grip levels that Otis has in comparison to Nick. They're side by side as they cross the start-finish line, and Scyther is nowhere.
Yep, he's not anywhere, is he? But Pearson, like, he's very quick in a straight line, isn't he? Even with that ERS, but it's not going to stop Otis Lawrence. Into turn one, he goes, that is opportunistic, if I have ever seen one. But you know what? It's just about what Pearson, like, though. He's hanging on in there, Scyther as well. He's got a front row view for all this as well. Through the curve, the Grande, they go. Otis Lawrence, he's just about got that move done. But Pearson, like, he's not giving up there yet. He's going to give it absolutely everything for his teammate. Coming into turn four, they go, can Nick do anything? I don't think he can. And Otis Lawrence, what a move that was. Into P1.
What a move from Otis Lawrence. He's just pushing his, well, I don't want to say pushing because it sounds like it's dirty, but he is pulling all the stops out to make sure there is a car between him and Scyther. I wonder if Scyther's going to get an easy move on his teammate as they come down the Curva de Soriglio, and it is relatively easy for him, and into Ascari they go, and Scyther now having an attack on Otis Lawrence. It feels like Monday night all over again, but I think Otis has got a little bit more pace. And look in the background, Lucas is still hanging on. He feels like he can get some points here, big points.
Yeah, he definitely can. It's a great opportunity for him. Scyther, though, good stuff from him as well, up into P2, getting past Nick. Pretty simply now, and the hunt is on. Just try and get Otis Lawrence, try and stay near him at least. He's getting that DRS on him now, and that just might make his life a little bit easier. And
defensive nick on Lucas, because Lucas has got some crazy pace as they come into the first Verante, but he's not able to get the move done. Nearly hits Quantum in the process there. Scyther trying to get close to Otis again, and there might be a little bit of a bottleneck with PSR Nick here. He's going to try and keep up with Scyther for as long as he can. He is on 15 lap old hards. We've got to remember that. Look in the background as Leopard trying to get through Pisty, and I think he has. Leopard has got past Pisty into the first Verante, in the second Verante, sorry. And Leopard trying to make waves again. He's desperate to get through the field and keep his second place in the championship alive. But Pisty has massively struggled.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? It's not been great from him so far. Down in P8 is definitely a long way off it. Just looking at P9 at the moment. Amity, it's a late move there from Finn as he's defending into Ascari, and a bit of contact there ensure there from the two of them. And yeah, a little bit hairy from the two there battling out for P9. And Finn, a little bit of a late move there to try and defend his position.
Now, Scyther trying his best to get at Otis Lawrence again. We're going to have a good 10 laps of this, I think, unless Otis can massively pull away. Scyther has been one driver this season that really has been able to give Otis a run for his money at some things. Defensive from Otis Lawrence. Actually, he's let Scyther through. He knows that it's about the DRS swapping over game right now, and that smart thinking, very smart thinking from Otis Lawrence.
Yeah, definitely is, and it's pretty smart. He knows it's a long race, and he's not going to try and risk anything anytime soon. You look at him; he's all over the back of him now, coming into turn 4, but he's just not going to go for that move, is he? He's just sitting behind him. He's got a long game to think, and he is not going to try and risk anything. So yeah, good stuff there from Otis Lawrence. He's thinking in the long term.
Yeah, good, smart thinking from Otis. But Pearson Nick, I tell you what, he is holding out hope for a safety car, and he's got pace on those hard compound tyres. I know he's got the assistance of DRS and everything, but look, oh my goodness, look at this. 3 cars going into Ascari. It's not going to work, but Akos has got the inside line for the first bit, and he's forcing Quantum a little bit wide, and there's contact between Leopard and Quantum, and I wonder if that has got damage to the Red Bull car. There's Finn trying to get in on the action, and Finn up into P8. He has saved his race, but there's 4 cars wide going into Parabolica. That's not going to work, and Quantum is down to P9, and that is gutting for him, but Pisty and Finn still fighting away.
Yeah, just looking up front at the moment, this could all just kick off anytime soon. Otis Lawrence up into P1. PSR Mike is taking the follow suit as well. No, he's backed up as well for the decency of his teammate. But Otis Lawrence, just like last lap, goes up into P1, and a pretty simple move there.
Pisty and Leopard fighting away. There's wheel banging as well. There's action all over the grid. Pisty should have the move done, but Leopard is going to hold his car in the inside. He's got Finn for company behind. And where does he go? Finn got nowhere to go. Leopard up the inside again. This is where he caught Pisty out the lap before, but he's been clipped. And I think he's been clipped by Finn. And Leopard is around, and that is Magician retiring from the session. And Leopard down to P15. To the front of the grid we go, and that is gutting for him.
Yeah, soft stuff there, and Yeah, that's just what happens sometimes when you're racing. It's a shame for these guys. Just looking up front at the moment, Cypher, the pace is looking good, isn't it? 100% ERS to his name compared to the 65 for Otis Lawrence. I don't normally say that many times commentating over these guys. So yeah, Cypher in a very good position at the moment. He might not go for a move this lap, but you know what? It can't be that far away.
And Quantum being passed by Passy, his race has gone from bad to worse, unfortunately for him, after a great start. Finn up into P7, still battling away, but losing the DRS to Pisty ahead. But Cider, does he do anything as they come into Ferrante 1? I don't think he will. I think he'll just sit back now and just play a little bit of a waiting game on the Mercedes driver and see if he can catch him out a little bit towards the end. He's done it before, and he's more than confident of doing it again. I'm certain of that.
Yeah, and it's easy around here as well to try and stay. I say it's easy, it's not easy when it's Otis Lawrence in front of you, but it's easier compared to other tracks to stay within the DRS of a driver. There's so many straights, so many DRS zones that it means if you have a bad lap, you can try and make up for it on that straight. And yeah, it's what Cypher's been doing brilliantly so far. The pace has certainly been there, and yeah, it's nice to see someone just being pretty up close in sight to Otis Lawrence. Just looking as well down in P4 at the moment. MVR Lucas, he's had a fantastic race so far on those slightly older medium compound tyres, but you know what? He's coming under a little bit of pressure now from VSR Akos. That ERS as well, flashing 9% of ERS to the name of the Haas driver. I think VSR Akos could be going for a move anytime soon.
I've just been on board with Nick there, and he's holding station, all things considered, really well in P3. And those very worn hard compound tyres, we'll have to see what he can do. But as you mentioned, Akos all over the back of Lucas. This could be the lap that we see an overtake. I don't think it's going to happen at the front of the grid, but Akos is already lining up the Haas driver with Pisty behind as well. Akos wants to get the move done, and into P4, the Ferrari driver. Does Lucas get past again? He does not. Let's go a bit further back, and we see Cassie, overtaking Neo and making himself the meat of the sandwich of the Alpines right now. But let's go back up to Cider, because he's getting close to the back end of this Mercedes again, and he's looking at everything he can do, looking at different areas to overtake the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, do you know what? That's going to be a pretty good finish to this race. It might not be wet and there might not be dry tyres on a wet track, but do you know what? This could be still pretty interesting. Cypher, he is definitely there. He's got the pace, as I said. And yeah, a move is definitely brewing. Piccolo up into P11 there. These two going side by side through the Lesmos, and Piccolo up into P11. Just got the end of that move. There's a big spin though for Piccolo, and he's into the wall. You talk about a commentator's curse. He is out of the race, and all that hard work has been done for nothing.
PSR Nick in P3 has just been thrown a massive lifeline. But has he? Does Scyther stay out? Oh my goodness! Do people go into the pits?
This could be interesting, and we've seen it earlier on, didn't we, with Pisty, how much you can get held up by staying out. And I've seen it in Tier 2 as well. Staying out was the better option in Tier 2, but Nicky has to pit that, rightfully so. Well, Akos pitting up, he's learned his lesson from Tier 2 on Tuesday night. He was a guy that pitted and kind of got caught out from it, but he's learned. It's nice to see that one, but Nick had to pit, didn't he? And a few other guys in these older tyres have all came into the pit lane, but you know what, unsurprisingly, a lot of these guys thinking better of it and staying out on those medium tyres.
That is gutting for Piccolo there, just getting himself into the points and all going wrong. But yeah, commentator's curse for certain there. I think we've both done that now. Mine was Steve and yours was Piccolo. And this is, yeah. I mean, do we have another safety car in us? I don't think so. But right now, those 5-6 drivers on a set of softs at the back of the grid could cause absolute carnage through the remainder of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting in Tier 2 the other night. I think it was 23, the safety car came out around about then, and Akos was leading the race in Tier 2 and he pitted and dropped to about P8, and I think he finished P5. Though the softs, there wasn't actually that big of a difference as you would think. Normally softs would come charging through the grid, and we would see in this scenario NVR Lucas in like P3 or 2. But I don't think we'll see NVR Lucas make that much progress. I think he will make some progress, but I think actually an interesting thing is to see PSR Nick pitted for mediums. I'm not too sure if that's because he didn't have any fresh softs available, but yeah, it's medium compound tyres for that Williams.
So interesting from Quantum there. And you know what? We've had one driver retire in the pits, and you wonder if he had stayed out, where it would be, how he could affect this race right now.
I know you think it's just a strange one, isn't it? You know, I don't really understand it why you'd retire the pits. I think this game is so sensitive for safety cars because you look at it tonight, we've had 3 real retirements and it's been 3 safety cars. We've seen it in Singapore. It was every time there was a retirement, it was a safety car. I don't know how many there was, but it was a lot. So virtually in this game, if there's a retirement, it's a safety car. It's kind of the way it works, and I feel like or not, that's the way it is. So I think yeah, it's a lesson to be learned. I think it was Magician, wasn't it, that retired in the pit lane. So yeah, lesson to be learned there. Just stick it out because there's still definitely a lot to play for.
So lap 22 of 27, we've still got the safety car out. This is the 3rd safety car of the night, and it has been. I will attest to it. It's been a very entertaining race. Not like Monday, completely different style to Monday night's Monza. And I had the pleasure of you there alongside me there as well, didn't I? So this is going to be an interesting one to see how Lucas, Neo, Keva, Leopard, Matagier, and Quantum. Well, not Quantum because he's on the medium. So and PSR Nick obviously deciding those mediums. So those mediums for Nick, while might not work initially well the first 2 laps, I reckon they will be the best. Well, he will have the best tyre to finish the race on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chandler Shearer put in the chat, he's a very reliable source. He's very quick on the F1 game, and he said that the first 2 laps or so, the softs will be faster, but for the last 2 or 3, it will be the mediums. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting dynamic there, and I think he's probably spot on there as Chandler. So it's a huge couple of laps of these guys on the softs because they need to make the most of it. They're not going to be the quick for all these laps. They have to make the best while they can. I think the best example was who was it? Was it VSR Finn? Earlier on when he was on the soft tank tyres, we've seen how much progress he made. So we have to see a similar kind of thing from these guys on the softs. They have to make really good progress in the first few laps. If not, then it could be a pretty boring end to the race for these guys. Yeah,
good to see someone of Chandler Sater's caliber in the chat as well. Nice to see him. Someone who I mean, everyone in there can talk sense when they want to. But obviously he's giving some great insight there as well. So great to see that, and we'll have to wait and see how all this is going to pan out because, I mean, Otis Lawrence has to do another safety car restart. That's his third restart of the third start of the race because obviously he lost out on the start of the race when he dropped behind both Pisti and Sider. Sider took the lead of the race at the start there. Then he had a pretty decent safety car restart, and obviously the last safety car restart was held by the man that is currently in P10.
Yeah, well, I think if anyone knows how to do a safety car restart, it will be this man. It's a common thing to see safety cars in league race, and it's a common thing to see Otis Lawrence at the front in a league race. So 2 and 2 together, and it happens quite often. So yeah, he'll know what to do. But do you know what? Cypher is no stranger to an Otis Lawrence restart as well. So he might just know when Otis Lawrence likes to go, what he likes to do before he goes. And yeah, we've seen how good Cypher was in the first restart, trying to get by Pisti. So yeah, it could be interesting to see if Cypher can try and gain anything from this restart.
4 racing laps of this race, we'll have the Otis Lawrence there weaving as best he can to keep those heated tyres, and yeah, this is going to be an interesting one for certain. What can Cyber do? Can Otis Lawrence get the restart right? We'll only have a few laps of DRS available. Lucas is just catching back up for a fresh set of softs. Here they go then. Otis Lawrence has gone quite early in the Parabolica, unlike last time, but Akos is looking like he's going to attack Sider very, very early doors as they come down the start-finish straight. Sider having to go defensive, but it looks like Akos is going to take P2 away from the Williams man as they head into the first Ferrante. Sider is desperate to hold on. The switchback wasn't on for Akos, and Sider, well, hangs on by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, it's not the restart you would want there if you're Scyther having to defend. You want to be looking forward, just looking for these guys, and they've also got a spinner further back. But just looking at Neo at the moment in P11, will he be going for a move on Bourbon Boy? But Bourbon Boy's going for a move on Nick as well, going round outside all the guy on the mediums. It's Neo, can they get the move done? And he does. It's a great move there from the Alpine, and he's making the most of those softer compounded tyres.
So is PSR Nick. He's above Bourbon Boy as well. Otis Lawrence then broken the DRS timing of Scyther behind, but Nick desperate to get some positions gained, and has he already got past Carsey into P8? He has done. That is a great move from him. Passy then now having the next, well, it's the next car to have the charging Williams coming through the gap, coming through the pack, sorry, and Nick has got some incredible pace right now. Where was this in qualifying?
Yeah, I know, it's been very impressive, hasn't it? We've seen it on those hard tyres with him, the pace is there, and definitely a real dark horse on these last few laps. Just looking further out, look at that gap, 1.5 seconds between Scyther and Otis Lawrence. Where is that came from? And yeah, Scyther will be kicking his teeth in there. Just looking down the battle for P3. FRA Pisty all over the back of VSR Ecos now. Ecos forced to defend, and Pisty going round the outside a long way now. It's got a bit of contact between the two of them, but it turns to the inside for FRA Pisty, and he gets the run out of the corner, and he gets a bit of a squeeze to that Ferrari as well. But here comes VSR Finn as well. He's pushing through as well, and up into the P4, the VSR driver goes.
VSR Finn is absolutely on fire. He's been great since that issue at the start, and he is now battling away for Pisty for a podium. Akos, such a shame for him, dropping down a little bit, and there's someone in the wall. That's him out of this race. He has no front tyre. Wow. There's no safety car now, but that is gutting for him because he was looking strong. Nick then trying to get through, and he has done. Passy now down to P7, and PSR Nick is absolutely flying through this field. Could we see a late charge from him? Scyther back up, battling away with to Otis Lawrence and pulled away from Pisty in P3. But Finn, definitely the man to watch right now, as alongside this man, PSR Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see that one as Nick. Look at him at the moment, all over the back of Icos, and those fresh medium tyres are definitely showing their advantage now, aren't they? It's a pretty simple move there for the Williams. I don't think Icos has got much of a response, does he? Let's see now on board for Ferrari, but there's just not much he can do. And it's a pretty simple move there for Nick up into P5.
Scyther is desperate for it, but there's just nothing he can do with the overall pace of Otis Lawrence. He is phenomenal right now. Lap 26 of 27, VSR Finn. Very close to trying to make a move on Pisty. Maybe he's waiting for a last lap getaway for this and a podium. That would be good for him. Leopard up into P12. Not been his day, unfortunately still battling away with Lucas in the background, but it looks like Finn's actually dropping away from Pisty ahead. PSR Nick has an outside chance of a podium maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. The pace is actually very impressive, and much more impressive than I probably would have expected on those hard medium tyres. Sorry. VSR Finn, as you can see, they're flashing as well. Only 5% to his name. PSR Nick on 45. So yeah, an outside podium chance is definitely not the most impossible thing to happen.
And Scyther, 1.7 seconds. I think he just deployed everything to try and get through to Otis. It wasn't going to be for him, unfortunately. And PSR Nick up into P4. PSR showing why they are such a strong team in this competition, and they could very well get a podium before a double podium before it's all done and dusted. Here comes PSR Nick up the inside. Pisty has nothing to defend with. What a strategy haul from PSR Nick.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, and to get that podium place on the final lap, it just really shows how much pace he had today, and a P3 it is thoroughly deserved. Just looking further back, there doesn't seem to be many other battles. P3, he can be very happy with that P4 if he can keep that, if he can try and defend from VSR Finn, right? Once again, he'll be happy with that P5 and Akos as well. It could have been a lot more, but P6 still could be pretty good if he can hang on to that one.
Yeah, it's looking very solid through that. And look at that, the Alpine driver's in there as well, giving as good as they can get. However, Neo does have that penalty to his name, which could cost him. I am sticking on board with Pisty because he is looking so strong in that second sector that it's pulled away. Lucas has retired. He's crashed out at the first Lesmo there, and I think Carsey has spun it as well. So that's gutting for him. Neo getting past Akos, and I wonder if the two Williams will swap places. Somehow we've lost 8 drivers all of a sudden. This is all very, very last minute stuff. Neo trying his best to get past Finn, but let's go on board with the man that has just dominated everything he can do, and he's done it with some relative style as well. Otis Lawrence is your winner of the WRLD Monza Grand Prix. Nick and Scyther very, very close across the line. Pisty will come home in P4 with Finn and Akos in P5 and 6 respectively there. Bourbon Boy gets points. Great for him.
Yeah, wow, what a race, and what a pretty mental sprint to the race as well. So many crashes as well that we probably missed, unfortunately, but to have only 12 drivers with it finish in the end, that seems pretty drastic. But yeah, great race. Great win for Otis Lawrence, and some good points as well for PSR as well with that double podium.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the same in any stretch of an imagination as Monday night, but we saw some strategy calls that cost people and some strategy calls that didn't cost people, which is exactly what we had on Monday night for WR. But obviously, in the Legacy division, doesn't really matter what happens elsewhere. It's what happens at the time. It's 6 wins out of 6 for the man. I don't want to say the myth because he's definitely not the myth, but he is currently a complete legend in Xbox racing on this, and he is wow. Is any? I say, is anyone going to stop him? That sounds like it is very, very near on impossible for that. But let's run down the orders. It is Otis Lawrence with the victory, Scyther in second place, and PSR Nick rounding out the podium there from 13th on the grid. Pisty in 4th place, Finn in 5th, 6th going to Akos, 7th going to Passy, Bourbon Boy in 8th, 9th to Neo, and 10th for Quantum. He did get some points in the end there. Unfortunate for Leopard, some incidents that cost him massively there, finishing P11, P12 to Keva and Kasi. Technically classified, as is Lucas and Amin. And then Matager, Piccolo, Magician, Axel and Steve all retired from that, from the race. I mean, let's go straight at it. Your driver of the day.
I will go for PSR Nick. I think it's a pretty simple one if you don't look at the top two. A fantastic drive all round to start P13. Then to come up all the way, he had to stay out on that hard tyre, and then his pace in the hard was so impressive. He stayed out, he got the rewards for it, he pitted on the mediums, but still so much work to do down there. And I think it's P9 on the medium tyres, and it was a fantastic drive in the last few laps to get a very well-deserved podium. So yeah, my driver of the day without a shadow of a doubt.
So we'll see if anyone will join for the podium questions. It does mean I have to try and remember. I say try and remember who's on the podium, but that's not what I mean at all. But just try and make sure we get the everything sorted properly, and hope that they don't leave the race lobby too quickly, which they have done. So I will, I'll invite the rest in very, very momentarily. But again, FRA Elite, what a race from him.
Yeah, it's just we're coming used to it now, aren't we? It's nothing out of the ordinary to see him a win in that kind of comfortability as well. There was that period of time where you thought, do you know what, Scyther could possibly win this here just before that safety car, but then the safety car came out and Lawrence was just out of this league again. It was just so impressive to see. He dropped Scyther, and Scyther didn't really have a response for it. So yeah, it was a pretty impressive last few laps, and I think in the end that's probably what won him it.
Right then, we do have the ever incredible Otis Lawrence, FRA Elite, joined us into the party. And at this point, I will hand over to you, Callum, to do the podium interviews.
Well, first of all, it's congratulations. That was a great drive. Just talk us through the emotions of that race.
Thank you very much. Very up and down roller coaster ride, really. Trying to do a lot for my team. That start. I had a really good start actually, and I had to slow down because I tried blocking Skiver at the start, but I had 2 of them go around me. So very intense race. Lot of safety cars, and yeah, I'm happy to bring the win home with me, and good points for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned those safety cars there, and in one of those particular restarts, you were down in P4 trying to get past a few of the cars that haven't stopped. Just talk us through how difficult that was at points.
Very difficult, especially when you have your championship. Well, PSR is the championship rivals. They're not gonna let you pass very easy. Tell you that. So yeah, it's very tough, very tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And once you got by those lap cars, you had Scyther pretty close behind you as well, and at one point
Yeah.
took the lead of that race. Was there ever a point that you thought that maybe the win wasn't going to be yours today?
No.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the confidence. Well, that's all from me. Congratulations on your race win, and I'll pass over to Warder.
Thank you,
Otis,
thank you much.
just one last question. Obviously, Monday night it wasn't perfect for you. Did that give you extra motivation for tonight?
Pretty much, yeah. It said cloudy by the end of the race, so it scared me a little bit, to be honest with you. From WR, so you know, a bit of anxiety, but still, yeah, I'm happy to bring home the win, and yeah, happy.
Fantastic. And obviously, you know, it's Silverstone next week, and it's very easy for me to say, do you think you're going to win it because you've got the tools in your disposal? But do you feel that it might be similar to tonight, where it's a few safety cars, mixing up strategies?
Yeah, it's definitely one of my best tracks. I think I can win it, but anything can happen. So Silverstone, so we'll find out, you know.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. Good luck on trying to complete a full 14 rounds of winning every race, because at the moment you're well on course.
Thank you very much.
Right then, Callum, before we head off, there's, you know, it's very easy for us to speak about the incredible elite. He's been phenomenal, but there's some drivers that have really had some unfortunate issues through this year. We look at Leopard, no points tonight, and it could very well cost him P2 in the championship overall. Scyther looking good, very, very good. But we also had great recovery drives from drivers who span out, and I'm you know, thinking of the likes of VSR Finn. That strategy, the bold call to go onto the softs, was really quite a really good one.
Yeah, it was actually in considering I think it was at lap 1 or 2 he get took out by Bourbon Boy, so yeah, it was good stuff from him. It was a bit different, as we said, and it worked out for him. On the other hand, you rightfully mentioned Leopard, a tough day at the office for him. You normally see him at least in the points in a bad race, but the pace just didn't seem to be there tonight. He just got through into Q2, and he just got through into Q3, and in the race, the pace was just never there. So yeah, tough day at the office for LCR Leopard, and for his sake, he'll be looking to bounce back next week at Silverstone.
Fantastic. And there we go. Silverstone is the next week's race, sorry, and it was going to be, if tonight is anything to go by, it's going to be an absolute crazy one for absolute sure. Any final words for you, Callum, from this one?
Yeah, just a congratulations to all our drivers that finished in the top 10 tonight, and a special congratulations to our race winner once again, Otis Lawrenson, and yet again another pretty dominant race win.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for sitting alongside me for this commentary of WOR Legacy Division. It has been an absolute a crazy one. Thank you, Callum. And we will look forward to seeing you all next week for the Silverstone race. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.